Hey friends, it's Akidaris, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you guys the Hall of Fame of people in Japan that will never be arrested. Now, many of you have probably heard that Japan is very famously known for having near to no crime rate, and that is true. I could be in the middle of Tokyo at midnight with no friends, with my phone about to die and drunk people on the sidewalk, and still feel safer there than being in the middle of LA during the day. And that is not an over-exaggeration. But as much as I would love to give Japan the full credit in that department, I just cannot grade them a PSA 10 because of several cases that I found here on the internet that are so controversial and that are so messed up that it's going to make you wonder by the end of this video, for at least one of these people on this list, you're going to be sitting there thinking, how the hell is this person not in jail or incarcerated? These are really, really weird, infamous, and controversial cases from Japan filled with people that will never be arrested because they just got a really good get out of jail free card. Our first guy on the list goes by
Seiji Fuji,
who is a manga artist who is very famously known for creating a book called 17 Sai, which was a manga that depicted a real-life case that actually happened in the 80s for a girl named Junko Furuta. Junko Furuta's case is known as one of the most atrocious cases that ever happened in Japan, and quite frankly, having one of the saddest outcomes of a trial that you could probably ever read in true crime. She was a high school girl that essentially got kidnapped by 3 boys from her school and then was abducted and held in their house for 40 days. They call this the 40 days of hell for Junko Furuta. To make matters worse, her grave was also desecrated by the mother of the boy that actually kidnapped her out of vengeance because she thought that Junko ruined her son's life, which is just so messed up. You guys can look up the details of it. It's actually like too much for me to talk about right now in a video. However, I do plan to talk about Junko Furuta because I actually did go to the real life locations that she went to. Anyways, you can look up more details or wait maybe for the day that my video comes out. But essentially what came out of this was nothing good. Nobody got compensated anything, and even the people who committed the crime never went to jail. To add insult to injury, this man creates a manga based off of her case. And the manga he made essentially goes through every detail of what Junko Furuta went through. The only difference is the outcome, where instead of dying from her tortures, she actually was able to survive them. And he tries to kind of defend it by saying, oh, I made it more positive, something a little bit more lighthearted. No, dude, like, it's just disrespectful. That is such a slap in the face to the parents and her loved ones, and to more so, Junko Furuta herself. She didn't live through it. And you created a manga and made profit off of it and didn't even offer to give any of that to the families. No, he did not go to jail. He wasn't arrested. There was no legal action that was taken against him. And even if there was, he was actually protected under the banner of creative expression, artistic expression. A lot of people were wondering, why didn't Junko Furuta's family sue him for making this manga? And I mean, I honestly don't know, but if I had to guess, if I were in their shoes, I would think that they just want nothing to do with it now. I feel like it was probably just such a traumatic thing that happened in their family. I would think after this whole thing that they just don't want to hear about it anymore. Now for our next guy on the list, his name is Mao Sugiyama. He was a performance artist who cooked and served his own private parts. Why? In 2012, Mao Sugiyama gently sat down at his laptop and tweeted, I am offering my male genitalia as a meal for 100,000 yen. I will prepare and cook as the buyer requests at his chosen location. Sugiyama had spent a long time debating what to do about his private parts, and in the weeks leading up to the surgery, he'd embarked on a month-long sex binge to ensure that he was definitely making the right decision. Unmoved by his sexual encounters, he went ahead with the surgery and at the age of 22, had it all removed. Sugiyama double-bagged it and placed it in his freezer for safekeeping. Keen to use the organs for artistic purposes, he considered cooking and eating them himself, but soon decided that it would be much more interesting to feed them to someone else. What a weird epiphany to wake up to. Literally, my man was just like, you know what I just really want in life is for somebody to just eat my junk and for me to get paid for it. One thing I really love in this article is the part that says, Sugiyama had spent a long time debating what to do about his private parts. I could give you 1,000 things you could do with your private parts. How the hell did you even convince the doctor to just take it off? Were you like probably saying, hey, I want some gender reassignment surgery? Or did you just be like, hey man, can you just like cut it off because I'm so sick of it, man? This sounds like some black market thing that went on, because it's just weird that the doctor also let him keep the organs for after. Like there's too many red flags in this. So he puts up this request on Twitter, right? It says here that the response was so overwhelming that Sugiyama actually organized a public banquet where around 70 people showed up to the event, and only 6 guests actually requested the chef's special, each of them paying the equivalent of $250 for the pleasure. What is wrong with Japan, dude? Like, I don't understand. Like, this is legally cannibalism, right? After cutting his meat into thin slices, Sugiyama used a portable gas stove to fry them with mushrooms and parsley. The managing culinary director of Serious Eats actually quoted saying, "The chef didn't cook it right. What a waste of a perfectly good peen." So you might be wondering, like, what happened afterwards? Did anyone find out about this? Well, it says that none of this went unnoticed. Sugiyama and the event's organizers were reported to the police by several concerned locals. Of course, there aren't any laws against cannibalism in Japan, so there wasn't much that the authorities could do. They tried to accuse him of indecent exposure, but this was complicated by the fact that Sugiyama's guests had attended the event willingly, and in the end, the authorities dropped all charges. I feel like there's still something there, dude. Like, how do you not have anything regarding cannibalism? You know, I'm not surprised about this, because there was also like that other cannibal in Japan, Issei Sagawa. I actually did a whole video interviewing his pen pal. He was able to just walk free in Japan. The thing is that happened a really long time ago, like around the 80s or the 90s. You would think that Japan would have already made some kind of law regarding cannibalism. This happened in 2012. That's late. Like, there's still no law regarding cannibalism. That's super late, dude. To its credit, it does say that the chef was asexual, which means that he doesn't get horny or he doesn't get sexual attraction to humans. But there are other ways that you could have, like, spent your time, dude. Our next case here regards a video game with a title that I cannot say in English because it is so bad, so I'm gonna have to say it in Japanese, as cringy as it's gonna sound to you guys, but it's the only way that I'm gonna be able to get through this. This video game is called RapeLay. It sounds a lot like something else, and I can't say it, but you guys can probably figure it out. RapeLay was a video game in 2006 that was actually banned in several countries except Japan. And it's so crazy because the only thing about this game is that you, the main character, only have one job and one job only: to violate a mother and her 2 children on the train as much as you can. That's it. That's the whole game, and it's so up that I can't. Okay, so because of the public outcry from international fans, the game was actually pulled off of the shelves, but it wasn't banned and nobody went to jail over it because, again, it was under the banner of freedom of expression, or the artistic freedom of whatever you want to call it. Or basically, they got away with it and it was fine. And it didn't stop people from actually finding this game anyway. Anyone who already bought the game just basically uploaded the file online, so people were able to find it. And if you're wondering how I even got footage of this game, it's really not that hard to find on YouTube when you type it in Japanese, but it's heavily censored for the right reasons. I mean, it's censored, and it should be, is what I'm trying to say. So I didn't play this game. I don't want to. I'm not interested in it. But for the sake of this video, I had to do some sort of research, and I found one dude who did the job for all of us by doing a little bit more research into this game and left one review. So I'm gonna read it because I think he does a way better job at explaining this game than I could. WTF, Japan. I mean, what needs to be said? One of the most controversial games in the free world, and for good reason. Nothing about this is any good. Not one thing at all. The game is pure and utter trash. A tasteless display of disgusting low-class filth masquerading as entertainment, whose fans should be sequestered. I can't say that, sorry. And for the record, I did not personally play this game. Good on you, dude. And I'm instead reviewing it from the secondary perspective on its presentation and delivery. I'll be damned if I'd be anywhere near this thing, either physically or digitally, playing it myself. So the plot, if one could be extracted, is simply you playing as what is called a chikan, whose sole purpose is to stalk, grope, and systematically violate a mother and her 2 daughters. All I know is that you have a certain amount of days to so-called break the family, leaving them as your personal concubine trio. That's it. That's the game. Feel like taking a shower yet? Man, Japan, like, I don't get, where do you cross the line? So again, nobody got any flack for this. If you did that shit in the US, oh my god. Oh my god. But it's Japan, so it counted as like freedom of expression. So I guess that's why it's okay. Ah! Oh my god, it's so bad. You know who else didn't go to jail? It wasn't originally on this list, but I'm just thinking about it now. Is the freaking creator of Rurouni Kenshin was arrested for CP, and he got to walk free and still works in the manga industry. The fact that all of these cases have people, all men by the way, may I add, are walking free in Japan. There is one person in particular who did get arrested, and for a crime that I honestly think, in compared to these, is like nothing. And that goes to a woman named Megumi Igarashi, who was a sculptor and a manga artist who created sculptures and little plushies that depicted her own vulva. Maybe I can say that on the internet. I don't know. One of the funniest things that she did was probably just make an actual little plush and then eventually turn that into a manga. So the woman starts gaining more fans and more popularity, and then her fans start to willingly crowdfund a project for her to modify a kayak to look like a vulva. And it was such a weird project, I have to admit. I don't know why they thought of a kayak, but she did it. And to be honest, she did actually a really good job. And a lot of people actually wanted this kayak. And so her fans requested for the 3D printing file of that kayak. And so she did it. She uploaded the file. People were downloading it. And this is where things turn really bad. Haters of this woman slapped her for it, and she got arrested, legit, for uploading a 3D file of a kayak that just happened to look like a woman's private part. People were so butthurt by this that they thought to hand it over to the authorities and get her arrested. And she was in there for about a week, but if it's any consolation, a lot of people were for her. So she decides, okay, maybe I did the wrong thing at the wrong place at the wrong time. Fine. Okay, I'll collaborate with a sex shop, and I will display my sculptures over there and have people and my fans gather over there. Nothing to it, right? So she does it. Nope. She gets arrested for a month. So she's spending over a month in jail, and 21,000 people signed a petition to release her. She was then released on bail. It still wasn't enough for the haters. They wanted her to be slapped for something. So the boat, the kayak that she made, was confiscated, and she was fined $3,600. And that's where the case ends. She actually garnered so much media attention from both in Japan and outside of Japan, where they were all just on her side. And there were thousands of tweets tweeting out legal officials in Japan of a certain event that we have here in Japan that will really make you wonder, why did she get arrested when Japan has what's called a penis festival? I have made a video on this festival. I went there. It is a legitimate celebration of fertility, and we do this by spinning around a giant wooden penis, and we even have treats that children eat that are bananas with chocolate that look like penises, and it is very controversial, but we allow it in Japan because it's a dick. But a woman can't sell little tiny sculptures of a vagina at a sex shop. I don't understand it either. So what have we learned today? Well, people that cook their own private parts, okay. People that create a manga mocking a dead little girl, that's fine too. Making a video game violating other people, totally good. But a woman making a boat looking like her vagina, oh God, everyone loses their minds. Welcome to Japan. See you guys in the next video. Bye.